Look at you. Man,
Dropping
we have
names.
an
Bad day
amateur.
for
We're not
you.
sure where
We
we
have
are
an
right
amateur
now,
running this program
but,
right now.
we're
It's amateur hour
Be
at
careful.
DTLT today.
welcome to
Like, pull
DTLT
something.
today.
Today.
This is introduce yourself.
I am Tim Owens, aka Timmy Boy.
I'm Andy Rush, aka Andy Rush.
I'm Jim Groom. That's all you need to know.
And I'm a student aide who got in here by
Do you have an
accident.
actual name?
My name is Liel Zabub.
And you played a
Also
very
Lee
important
Ellis.
role in DS-106. What was that this summer?
Oh my god, yeah, I was Bianca.
Rock Oblivion.
Welcome, Bianca.
Bianca Oblivion.
So what are we going to talk about today, Timmy?
Well, first off, I see that someone has a new computer that we've been awaiting an arrival for quite a while here.
Oh, would you be talking about me, Timmy boy?
Yeah. I know it's easy to forget it's there because it's probably so light.
All right, and I seriously have to apologize to my colleagues because I've been going on and on about this and how bad my life is without the computer, and now my life is so great with this computer.
Complete.
So this is the new MacBook Air. It's like I can spin it around on my pinky.
Just don't.
But let's not do
Just don't, because then I'll have to go through this whole process and order another one. And let me tell you, if you want any sympathy for me, it is a pain in the ass to try to get your life from one computer to the next. But I know you don't have any sympathy for me,
no.
so never mind.
It's a nice.
And we were
nice.
joking about how hard I have it, but if we're gonna go for the Apple love, I did get an iPhone 4S. So
That's right.
It's not all bad for me.
Apple
right now.
fanboy A, Exhibit A, and Exhibit B.
And he's been talking to Siri constantly.
I have.
He's
My
got
wife
her calling
shares
her
the
master.
bed with a new woman.
Exactly. Timmy, move over.
Yeah.
Timmy, stop snoring.
I cannot do that, Tim.
So
Timmy, get your hand out of my pocket.
So life is generally good
Yeah.
in DTLT land, except for some toys that we're trying to get
so,
working.
First off,
Siri joined this chat room.
First off, George Meadows, amazing.
Thank you,
faculty
George.
Member at UMW.
Education Department, College of Education.
Yeah,
George Meadows.
He's in the process of buying a MakerBot. Takes us out to Chipotle, and he
Really?
brings over the parts today
Dang.
for a
that's nice.
brand new PirateBox.
Yep.
So he brings a bag full of this stuff.
Free?
This is just part of it, but there's not a whole lot more to it than this. This is a Buffalo wireless router, and this is an Energizer pack for a battery, basically, to store it on and to get it all plugged in and working. So I start looking at the instructions today, playing around with it, and it didn't take me very long to completely brick this thing, so I have to figure out how to...
So when you bring it, what do you do to get it back?
You have to run some like terminal commands to send some new firmware back onto it, and I'm just having trouble connecting to it. So
He actually asked me if we had a Windows XP machine
Yeah.
running somewhere
It's that
in the
bad.
area. So
That's right.
we'll figure it out. So, but yeah, so we're going to have our own PirateBox. It'll belong to George, and I told him that if I get it all working, he's got to find a good hiding spot in Trinkle near some classrooms and have it running all day, and we'll see if some students will connect to it. And we've got to figure out a good name to give it, something that
super cool.
entices students to
Yeah.
join it and start adding things.
Well, I think what we need to do is get a couple of them. So we do this one as an example, and then we use that. And I think one of the things that really got me interested with the PirateBox, I was lucky enough to just spend 2 days in New York City with the great Grant Potter, Mikhail Gershovich, Boone Gorgas, Luke Waltzer, Dr. Garcia, with a whole ton of folks. Some who I'm forgetting, Michael Branson Smith.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we all went in there and we presented on DS-106 Radio on Wednesday night. But then on Thursday, and maybe we'll talk about that on another show, but on Thursday I went to this thing with Grant. I kind of hacked the conference. I didn't pay or anything, called ContactCon. And ContactCon was a conference run and organized by Douglas Rushkoff, who's kind of becoming a mouthpiece for a lot of the kind of moment we're in with Occupy Wall Street, the internet, new forms of protest, all this stuff. But anyway, he put together this conference, I'm sure with other people, and the idea of it was to bring a whole bunch of hackers and kind of radical thinkers together, and by the end of the day, have them build and create something or an idea that they can get funded.
Yeah.
And so people did that, and there was kind of, I mean, I think the kind of pressure on people to, you have to do something was something else, but really cool things. One of the highlights of that conference, Steve Johnson, who, Where Good Ideas Come From, he wrote that book, and Gardner had talked about him a lot. He was there, and we had a couple of people, there was no long presentations, came up and talked for 3 minutes about an interesting idea about what this means. Steve Johnson gets up there, and for 3 minutes he talks about good ideas often come from taking something from one context, like art or design, and moving it into another, like chemistry or something. They said more than that, good ideas often come from taking stuff that's considered old technology and reimagining it as new, like Grant Potter's doing. And I was like, Grant, that's exactly.
Right.
So his stuff really keyed into the stuff we've been thinking about.
Yeah.
But what's trippy about ContactCon is all these people came there and they had their, like, inventions. So there's this thing called the Freedom Box, which is pulling off of the
Eben Mogul.
Eben Mogul's idea of everybody have their own kind of identity space where they do their email, they do their stuff, and it's not using this kind of corporate infrastructure. On that, they also had the Freedom Tower, which was a kind of locally created, you wholesale buy bandwidth, and you have your own network node for the internet, and that's what's actually fueling Occupy Wall Street right now. The guy who's doing that is there.
Wow.
And so then there was this other dude who had this kind of emergency broadcast radio system and cell phone system where you switch out SIM cards or even have a SIM card it will read, and you can create a like closed network of communication, like if everything goes down the phone lines and stuff. And I want to do that after the PirateBox. I want to build a closed network of texting and phone lines and all that stuff on UMW and see if people use it.
That's cool.
Like have an entire closed network that anyone doesn't have to be on a major network to do anything. Talk about getting rid of surveillance and all that. Think about what we could do outside of the black box and like RIAA, MPAA. No one would know anything. I mean, it would be radical.
That'd be amazing.
So that's where the stuff is going. They're calling it mesh computing. Nodal computing is another word for it.
Well, and that's what I kind of wonder with the PirateBox. Are you able to set them up as nodes where they can communicate with each other? Do you know?
Well, I bet you that's because that's what the other coolest part, and this goes to your question.
That's why I was segueing it.
Yeah, forgive me for my roundabout segue, but Timmy Boy's better than me. We have a 50-minute, I only kind of half mean that. We have a 50-minute recording. So Grant Potter got in touch with the dude who invented the idea for the PirateBox. And he was like, hey, dude, you know how Grant Potter is? He's like, hey, man, guess what? It's like this guy, David Darts, who was amazing and who I want to be the keynote speaker at Faculty Academy this year, is an art professor at NYU. And he was like the traditional, like, New York artist with black, right? He was kind of like hanging out. Like, we didn't know what to expect. He had this completely, like, minimalistic office with nothing but 2 pirate boxes on his desk.
I saw a picture from that. I thought, is that an empty apartment? Is there anything in there?
No, it's his office, and it's
his
rad. It's like, you know, downtown New York, awesome real estate, NYU. So this guy starts talking, and he's brilliant. He starts articulating the idea of the pirate box as kind of a, you know, an intervention into questions of privacy, identity, surveillance, and the idea is he wanted his students to be able to share files anonymously. And so he built this as a way for he bring it in and they could share whatever they want on the space. It's an easy way to distribute it, but they also mash up like a car commercial and they put it back in there. So it becomes this collection of student work. But he also started to bring it out into public space and see who would use it and how they would use it. And it's kind of for him been an art project, and it went viral. You know, he got 1 million hits, and he talks about the whole process, but he also talks about the conceptual space behind it. And it's really amazing. He's a really solid thinker. He's a really articulate about it, and he really created something cool. And what's cool about the PirateBox is the PirateBox is a conceptual thing that now, thanks to Alan, thanks to Noise Professor, thanks to George Meadows, I'm starting to get my head around conceptually. And it's a short conceptual leap from that to the idea of the Freedom Box and the idea of the Freedom Network. So it's this really cool kind of relationship between the three that I'm fascinated by. And what's more is I'm going to have that 50 minutes of radio, and we're going to talk to, I'm going to kind of coordinate with Grant and hopefully get that up. Because it's some of the best, I think, discussions just about the state of ed tech. And the fact that he's an art professor, a fine arts professor, who's dealing with this stuff in some really unique and creative ways. And he's actually from Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
He's a freaking Canadian like everybody else. You know what I mean?
Canadians.
Isn't everybody?
Yeah. So that was really cool. New York was amazing, but it was particularly amazing to hear David Darts is his name again, talk about the PirateBox and where that idea came from.
That does sound like super
It's
cool.
amazing. And I have the audio, so me and Grant will really get that out there.
Yeah, once you post it, I'll put a link to it in the show notes for
Perfect.
this episode. And I assume you'll be blogging about it as well, so people are...
Yeah, and I was so excited when I heard that George was getting this stuff.
That's a great
And then
picture.
when he got it, it is a great picture. And then when he actually got it, it was so mint. I mean, I was telling this guy just how excited I was. And what was cool about this guy is he was bald, he had all black, and then he had a black eye. So, like, I was
Like
like,
a
how did he get a
seriously
black
black eye?
eye? Like, someone
Oh my
had knocked him in the eye.
God.
So I was thinking to myself, like, But, man, when I started hearing him talk, I was like, exactly you got me.
Yeah.
You know, like, right on.
Did you all talk about the story box and what Cogdog's doing with
Absolutely. We talked about the story box. We talked about, it was interesting because the artist, he really did just think of it as an experiment.
it? Sure.
And Cogdog does too, but they have two very different experiments because he kind of wants to jar the idea of public space,
Right.
whereas Cogdog's trying to invite people in
Yeah.
to do it. So the renaming of it is something we talked about, and the imagination. And I think this guy was really cool because he understood that people are going to kind of just play with the idea. And it's a good idea when it generates all these possibilities, like hog dogs and stuff. And he also was in touch with the people who are doing the Freedom Box. And they were like, do you want to kind of keep developing? He's like, really? I consider myself an artist. Like, I'll do this stuff as a provocation.
Sure.
But I'm not necessarily a techie who's going to be developing this stuff out or be able to support it. But I just loved that it was an artist that was doing this.
Yeah.
Not like a techie. And I love that different imagination you bring to it, from different disciplines.
Well,
I really, sorry.
no, go
I mean,
ahead.
I really think that, like, in, being a creative writing major, I think that, like, literature and books, like, a lot of, like technology and stuff. I mean, we do have a lot to offer, in my opinion, to, like, the science community and just the generation and the creative ideas that, like, the art side kind of, we have, like, great ideas, and that's why I hate, seeing, like, the cutting the funding for stuff like that and humanities, whatever.
Well, that's just it. Is it none of these disciplines do it on their own, and having all those contributions is the valuable thing. And so when you cut one thing, especially the creative side of the curriculum, it's nobody knows the damage that it does.
But what stands out to me, we talked a little bit, we didn't get to hear the keynote from Seth Godin at EDUCAUSE, but one thing that Gardner Campbell tweeted, and I don't know if it was a direct quote from Seth Godin or if it was something that Gardner was saying, was that you don't have a job, you have a platform to create art. And it was just, it was just a really profound statement in that, that all of us have this platform where we can create art and do this kind of stuff. I don't know if you probably didn't get a chance to hear it, but Scott Lowe was on the DS106 radio today, and one of the things they were talking about was a art project called Webcam Head, where there's this art installation in Manchester in the UK, and it's just this faceless figurine made out of acrylic or something with a webcam, and they can't see anything. There's no screens there, but they can hear. And it's this Skype name that you can call. Anybody can call this Skype name and immediately see this cafe. And they can hear you, you can see and hear them, but you're completely anonymous at that point. And you're talking to these people. And so
Trippy.
Scott Lowe on the radio called in and was trying to get people to talk to him, but nobody was walking up to the faceless head and talking to him. So
And this is in an art gallery in Manchester or a cafe?
in a cafe, like
That's
in
so cool.
the pub in Manchester.
And that's very similar to the stuff that this guy, David Darts, is thinking.
Yeah.
He had this other project he called Parasite, where he basically walks around with a camera on his body, and he just takes photos. And one of the things about New York City that's interesting is you have all these open networks.
Sure.
So anytime he comes onto an open network, it uploads immediately to that network.
Wow. Oh, that is
so off
crazy.
of his body, and that kind of feels like physical to virtual, and it's going to these strange places. So it's like, hacking on open parasitical networks.
I wonder what those people think when they
He's a
get
tripper,
this
guy.
stuff.
Well, sometimes he often happens that you could use it, you get it up there, and it creates a video link so that you can go and watch him
Oh, so neat.
walking through
While
the
he's
city.
walking. Yeah.
It's
Crazy stuff.
weird. Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
It's cool.
God, that would be so cool just thinking, like, doing the Skype thing, like, at the Nest or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's... maybe I could do that as part of this project that I'm thinking of. You know, the story project at UMW, where I'm trying to. Well, I'd like to take stories from people in the UMW community, and then you know, like I was thinking mostly audio kind of thing, but just to like get a sense of, you know, overall like what it means to be like a UMW community member during like the 2011, you know, 2012 academic year, and that would be like super cool if I could just, you know, have like a have one of those like the face, you know, the head things, and have people like Skype in and stuff, or just, you know, and tell
or
their
even
stories
make
that
something
way.
like that and put like some monument on it and put a story box inside of it, or a
Yeah.
PirateBox, and that's
That'd
where
be
they
crazy
share
cool.
it. I mean, that's another thing. Like, you could really share having a few PirateBox and then Freedom Boxes around campus, and using our network as a place to kind of run a parallel network to infrastructure IT would be so
subversive.
rad, and I
So
think that's
subversive.
where we need to go. The video, the audio, and the alternative networks.
Gotta play some like
Teaching
the
and
Nest,
learning
the
is only a
library.
part of what we do. That's
It's
awesome.
getting fun.
I think
It
I
is.
hear IT security coming up the
Yeah.
stairs. So
We should wrap it up for this episode.
Yes,
All
we
right.
should.
great
Thanks,
to see,
everyone, for
great to
watching.
see all you chat people out there. Thanks for
Yeah,
joining us.
did we pay any attention to the shot? Should we?
I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
we're
They're talking amongst themselves. You know how it
As
is.
they do.
Yes. Exactly.
Thanks
I
for
love
coming.
it. It's like when people are like, "Hey, here's my idea. Discuss."
Yeah.
Like, really? I want to punch people when they say discuss. It's like, no, you discuss it if it's such a good idea.
So discuss that.
amongst yourselves. Later.
Take care, guys.